What's up? Happy Wednesday. I just really felt like starting this vlog in front of my tree because I needed some Christmas joy today. So I'm trying to bring it in, just bring that in. Today's plans are pretty simple. Padfoot, stop eating my Christmas presents. Going for the strings on those lovely lotions and scrubs that I have. I still need to put those away. Obviously I have to work, and I have a 7 o'clock tonight meeting with my mentor for interpreting, so I need to do that. We usually meet on Sundays every other week, but this week she was sick over the weekend, so we have it today. So at 7 o'clock I have that. But yeah, that's I mean the basic of today. It's 7:35 in the morning. I woke up on time today, so I woke up at 5:30 and took one snooze, which normally I take like a whole hour of snooze because I don't need to get up that early, but I like to try to. I didn't sleep that good last night, but I could not fall back asleep this morning. So I got up and I've just been hanging out with Matt in bed and watching some YouTube. So I watched a couple different videos. I'm currently in the middle of one of Becca and the Books' reading vlogs, so I'm probably going to just hang out and go back to the bedroom because I'm in my living room because I wanted to take this shot in front of the tree, but hang out and kind of watch some more YouTube until I really need to get up in like 25 minutes and get ready for work and everything. And then, yeah, I'm currently in the middle of both of the same books as the last vlog, The Kingdom of Copper. I'm like 70 pages in, I think. So we're still like kind of revving up in that story and getting us to like where everyone is. There was a big time jump that happened between the two books. Well, technically like right after the second book started, there was a big time jump, so they're kind of settling us into like where all of our characters are now, and they're all really like spread apart, which is fun because I love getting to see more of the world. So we're like learning more about Daevabad 2, which is the city of brass from the first book, but then there's also other cities all around like that area. Is it the Middle East, or would it be, I think it's bigger than the Middle East because there's like India in there and then the Red Sea. I'd have to show you a map. I'm sorry, I'm not good at this, and it's also early. So anyways, they're showing us other cities too of the Devas, so that's really interesting, or the Jinn. And then I also am still exactly where I was before with my audiobook, An Indigenous Peoples History of the United States. I did listen to it a little bit yesterday during my shower, and I'm gonna listen to it again today. But yeah, so that's basically it. I do need to work out today. I am on day 10 of the Fitmas set of Katie Yovin's Thrive by Katie app, so that's fun. I've got 3 more days left of that workout plan. I'm really liking it. It's more weight-based, so that's fun. It's a little bit different than what I've been doing. My cats are doing something. Hello, it's lunchtime. I started my period, so no wonder I'm freaking cranky. And it's early. How dare it come early? I'm annoyed. But once I realized that I started my period, that meant that I was gonna make mac and cheese. Because that's just what I do when it's like steamy, it looks weird, when I'm on my period. So I'm gonna eat some mac and cheese. And I think I'm gonna watch a Disney movie on my break. I mean, for part of my break, I have like 40 minutes left. Because that's the feeling that I have, that I need. And I think I'm gonna watch Aladdin. Okay, it's now 6:15. I have finished work. I have done my workout. I did arms today. Lots of this, lots of this. That hurt. And because I'm on my period, Matt just realized that that's open. Matt was a doll and went to 7-Eleven and bought me cheap wine, which I have ice in because it was not in the refrigerated section. And I don't care. And chocolate. And we ordered Popeyes, which is coming, so I'll get that in a little bit. I have about 40 minutes until my mentor's meeting with me. We usually go for about an hour. I think today will probably be, we usually actually go about an hour and a half, which I just appreciate her so much because I'm technically only paying her for the hour that I meet with her every other week rather than every time. Like, she actually, my mentor, okay, have I talked about this before? This is really cool. So for those of you who don't know, I graduated in June with my interpreting certificate, and interpreting is a very difficult profession to get into. There's like a lot of different steps, and especially for somebody like me who is not a native signer, meaning that I didn't grow up signing. I'm not deaf. I didn't have deaf parents. There's a lot of interpreters who do grow up with like deaf siblings or deaf parents or something like that, so their family signed all day long. A lot like you see with other languages, like Spanish interpreters usually are bilingual because they grew up with that other language and such. And I am not somebody who grew up signing. I started signing when I was in high school because of two reasons. One, I had a couple friends who were taking sign language as their foreign language at a different high school than I went to. My high school did not offer it, and my mom also would not have let me take it, but that's a whole other thing. She said that I needed Spanish, and I still think that I should know Spanish because of where I live, and also it would be great if I was a trilingual interpreter, meaning that I could speak English, American Sign Language, and Spanish. But I still don't know Spanish, even though I took 2 years of it in high school. And here I am being a sign language interpreter, which means that sign language in high school really could have helped. But whatever, I digress. I had two friends who were taking it, so I was like picking up a little bit when they would study. And then I also had two deaf coworkers at my first job in the movie theater. So I started learning a little bit, and then from there I started taking classes, found out about interpreting being like a profession, and liked the idea of doing that. And then so continued my school education until finally this June 2020, I graduated. The thing with all of that is, one, when you graduate with your ITP, Interpreting Training Program certificate, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready to interpret professionally or get hired for a professional position in interpreting, because it's like the bare minimum. So there's that part. There's also the part where some places will hire you with that, and if you take their internal like testing exam to make sure that you're like qualified to be doing a very, very important job. It is not just somebody who's like a friend who knows sign language. That is not an interpreter. So yes, so you can get hired without the next level, but the next level is getting nationally certified by either, there's a bunch of different ones. There's RID, there's CASLI, there's EIPA, there's a few different ones. And it sometimes varies by state. So CASLI is a California state certification. And anyways, those are really, really difficult tests. They're kind of, think like you graduate from law school and you still have to take the bar to be a lawyer. It's kind of like that, but not as serious, because like I said, you can be an interpreter without it. But the best I can compare it to. So I haven't taken that yet. So part of what I'm doing with my mentor is getting prepared for that exam. That exam has two parts, one of which I have to practically show my skills, meaning I have to sign and interpret for somebody who's talking and interpret for somebody who's signing, meaning that I would sign for the person talking and then I would speak for the person signing. And then there's another part of the exam which you usually take first, which is the knowledge exam, and that's a written test, which it goes through like different parts of the language, like the grammar and the linguistics of it. It talks about like some of the laws that have to do with ADA and compliance and all of that. So there's a lot to know. And on top of all of that, the program that I graduated from used to have a practicum level class, meaning that it was kind of like an internship where you got hands-on experience with professional interpreters and practiced with them. And that was cut before I got into that section of my schooling, thanks to cutting the budget of all educational systems. We love that for the United States because why? I don't know. We need the military budget, apparently. So I never got that hands-on experience with a professional person helping me and being there for me if I fail, right? And so I haven't had that experience yet. So part of all of what I'm talking about is basically my mentor is working on that with me, and it's really hard right now because of COVID. So also I graduated my program this semester. We all went into lockdown, and that changed a lot for the whole interpreter profession. The staff of my school, so my school that I graduated from does have a setup so that a lot of the interpreting program students who graduate can easily, they have to pass still, but they take in interpreters who are very, very bare minimum qualified, and they'll pair them with a mentor on staff so that you can get experience that way, and so that you have that practice that we don't have in the school system anymore. But before I could even try to get hired, the whole world shut down, and now that we're all going to school online, which I'm done with, they also had to furlough most of their interpreters on staff, which means that the only ones they kept were the high level qualified full-time staff, which, yeah. So all of that is to say, I hate COVID. One, it's fucking with my profession. And two, that my mentor is really, really amazing. So that's kind of a very basic deep dive into what I'm working on now as far as my profession goes. I currently work with a deaf agency, but I'm not interpreting. I am the front desk receptionist there, so I do get to sign all day long, which has just, wow, my level of receptive skills, meaning like listening in my eyes for sign language, has just like skyrocketed. And obviously I'm signing every day too, so my skill with producing sign language has also skyrocketed. Because again, talking about what I was saying before, where a lot of interpreters come from that background with sign language in their families or friends or whatever, and I just don't have that. And so I've started this like a few steps back from where I could have been. And so this job is really helping me, giving that step, not step ahead, just step to the same line in the professional setting. So I'm really glad that I'm working where I'm working. I'm really glad that I have the mentor I have. And basically she gives me assignments that I produce for her, and then she goes through them and we talk about, like, sometimes it's like the individual signs, like, why did you sign it that way? And sometimes it's more about like conceptually, how could you have made that more clear? And then today we are doing something where she's actually going to have me give her feedback. She showed me 2 videos that she accidentally interpreted the same voiced video twice, so she signed it 2 different times without realizing that she had already interpreted it once. And so I got to watch them both, and they're both slightly different and all of that. So we're going to have this nice little discussion about basically how amazing interpreting is, because it's interpreting. It's not word for word. So it's all about the concept, meaning that if you interpret two exact same things, the exact same thing 2 times, you are probably going to interpret it a little bit different both times. And so it's just going to be a really fun conversation. And then I also gave her my first 20-minute long interpretation of something. So I had to listen to a classroom setting like English as a second language class, so they were talking about like nouns and pronouns and what that means, and it was 20 minutes long, which is traditionally about how long an interpreter will work with a team. So you'll in a perfect world, you have 2 interpreters in each job if it's longer than 20 minutes, and you switch every 20 minutes. And so that person takes over and this person goes, and you probably will still be watching for the opposite 20 minutes to help in case somebody misses something or something like that. But anyways, I'm just like going into a deep dive on interpreting for you guys right now. But that's sometimes how life goes. My food should be getting here basically right when I start the meeting, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off, and I'm going to read Kingdom of Copper for about 30 minutes. I am 98 pages in, and yeah, we're still kind of getting set up of like where we're headed right now. This world is so big, and we are following even more characters. Like I said earlier, I think it was in this vlog, it might have been in the last vlog that I did, all of our characters have like kind of been separated, so we're following mostly the same set of characters in this book as the first one, but we have more points of view because more of them are not in the same place as of right now, at least. And I'm loving it. Hello. It is now the next morning. Oh, so mad because I picked you up. He hates it. He hates it when I pick him up. But if he just picks my lap, like he's doing now he'll be fine. Hi. You're annoying. Doesn't like being picked up so that you can see him. What? Why are you mad? There's nothing wrong. He looks so much like Toothless. Okay, goodbye. Whatever. The next morning, so I'm going to finish this vlog off here. All I did for the rest of the night, I finished my meeting that I had, and I did not end up filming any of it just because it felt too personal, honestly. I didn't feel like it was okay to record, just because I also didn't ask her permission or anything. We're still like getting to know each other and like getting to know our relationship in this mentor-mentee thing, so I didn't want to ask her permission to film even just like my side. So anyways, I did not film that obviously, but I left that meeting feeling very motivated and just so happy. I feel like I leave every single meeting with her like ready and like pumped up for my practice and my preparations and stuff. So this week I normally get an assignment from her and then film that, send it to her, and then we meet the second week. But this week we did not do that just because we're going to meet on the Sunday after Christmas, and so she was like, I don't want you to have to do an assignment. Instead, we're going to finish talking about her work that I was talking about in the last clip about like the 2 pieces that she interpreted both twice, whatever. We're going to talk about that, and Matt is just interrupting me always. So that's going to be the end of this vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Matt, what kind of question should I ask them? I always ask a question at the end of a video.
What kind of video games do you play?
Okay, Matt wants me to ask that if you're still with me, answer me this. Do you play any video games, and what kind of video games do you play? For me, I only play Mario Kart if and when it's available. Other than that, nothing. Matt, what kind of video games do you play?
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. And you played like Fortnite for a while. He likes, what are those called? Overwatch. What is that called? Like
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. He likes those. And he likes shooting ones and ones that you can play with other people. Multiplayer, is that what it's called?
Sure.
Okay, I'm getting out of here. Goodbye.